Let me tell you about the time I got an eviction notice for not going to work and how that little HOA fantasy spiraled into fireworks, hand pies, a legal slugfest, and one epic lesson about boundaries. Buckle up, this ride has more twists than a barbed wire fence in a windstorm. First time I heard about my eviction for laziness, I was out in my barn teaching a heifer named Spaghetti to accept a pink halter, my niece's choice, not mine, and yes, the calf looked deeply unimpressed. The morning was regular enough dew on the grass, faint sound of frogs by the pond, a whole list of chores in my head. Then I hear tires on gravel and the cough of someone who wants to sound important. You know, that one clipboard lady in a stiff blazer acting like the barn was her boardroom, holds the thing up like a shield and goes, "Are you the occupant?" I tell her owner, "Can I help you?" She rattles off. By order of the Homeowners Association, your failure to maintain employment and cooperative attitudes constitutes grounds for immediate removal. And get this, she wants me out by Friday so they can host a community event in my field. I laugh, thinking, okay, hidden camera. Except she's stone cold serious. Even Spaghetti lets out a grunt like, "You hearing this?" I tell her she's got the wrong place. This is private land, no HOA here. But she gives me that HOA smile like I'm supposed to surrender because she practiced it in a mirror. She insists, by virtue of proximity and shared values, everyone's part of the association. I glance at my fence line, see the sprawl of those cookie-cutter houses that cropped up a year ago. They're always promising country living with amenities, which translates to a dog park the size of a parking spot, a clubhouse no bigger than a dentist's office, and a 38-page rule book about mailbox colors. She introduces herself as Myra President. I tell her, 1, not in your association. 2, you can't have my farm for your party. 3, I go to work every morning at 4, I'm standing on it. She blinks at her clipboard like the script's got the answer, but it's just blank. She says the board voted. I tell her the board can vote on potato salad for all I care, but they're not voting me out of my home. She hands me a paper clips, the words like a wilted daisy, and stomps off to her matching roof subdivision. That night, I do what anyone does. I hang a fresh no trespassing sign and figure someone's event planner made a mistake. Next morning, there's a screaming yellow envelope on my gate. Final notice of eviction, it says. Accuses me of making the place look bad, being inconsistent with the community brand. Says I gotta vacate by Friday, 5 p.m., so they can throw their volunteer appreciation, gala lights, tense music, the works. I take a photo, brew some coffee, and call Travis, my buddy, who does real estate law. He listens to the story, then goes, "You're not in an HOA. You'd know your property predates that whole development. Their rules can't touch you unless you joined up, which you didn't." He tells me to save everything, keep it polite, and if anyone sets foot on my land, call the sheriff for a civil standby. Malicious compliance and documentation, that's your best friend, he says, which is basically my love language. I've got fence nail receipts going back decades. I check my deed title insurance survey map. Take pictures of everything, walk the fence line filming, property markers. Even call the county clerk. She recognizes me, probably from all the eggs I bring by. "You're clean," she says. "No CC&Rs tied to your land." I bake cornbread just to settle my nerves. Then type a letter. "Not a member, your eviction notice has no force. Your event would be trespass. Govern yourselves accordingly. Send it certified mail and by email." 2 hours later, here comes this barrel-chested guy with a neon roll of survey tape climbing my fence like it's just a suggestion. He starts measuring from my barn to the spigot, talking about where they'll put their generators. "This is private property," I tell him. "You're trespassing. Please leave." He snorts. "You just don't like rules, do you?" While he's posturing, I call the sheriff. Film him as I read my letter. He calls me cute. Yeah, that happened. Deputy Harlan shows up, guy with the world's most patient eyes. He listens, checks my deed and property lines, turns to neon tape and says, "Do you have permission to be here?" Neon tape puffs up. "We're the association. This is community," deputy says. "No, this is a separate property. Leave, or it's a criminal trespass warning." Neon tape climbs the fence, mutters, "This isn't over." I add 2 more no trespassing signs and set up motion cameras. I text Elsie, my neighbor, retired teacher, lives in a converted school bus behind the cedars. She brings over hand pies and wisdom, tells me she'll bring her lawn chair for the show. By Thursday, flyers are up all over the subdivision volunteer gala fireworks Saturday night. They draw arrows to my pasture like it's a picnic shelter. Friday morning, I wake to the sound of staples. Myra herself putting up signs. Members only event check-in. Saturday arrows to my driveway. I go out voice low because my mom always said low voices carry further. Take those down. Right now. She says I was expected to vacate by 5. I tell her, you printed paper at home. It means nothing. She tries to soothe. You could be part of something beautiful if you showed a cooperative spirit. I say I have a deed. Deputy comes back with backup this time, writes official trespass warnings, makes them sign. Then I call the fire marshal. No fireworks permit filed. Code enforcement's on alert for Saturday. Elsie comes over with peach hand pies, says, people think community is a magic word. They forget it means common care, not carte blanche. Saturday morning, I prep, lock the gate. Set cameras, call Travis for a pep talk. Don't escalate, just document, he says. By afternoon, cars are rolling in. I stay near the barn watching on my phone as groups in matching shirts hover by my fence, neon tape passing out wristbands like this is a concert. Then a tall guy with a sunburned neck hops the fence. I walk toward him, already calling the sheriff. Deputy arrives before the guy takes 2 steps, gives more warnings, more paperwork. Then comes the twist. Motion alert from the back fence, a little used utility lane. I see shadows, then a ladder. 3 folks scaling my fence with a box of fireworks, moving like cartoon burglars. I call the sheriff, the fire marshal, code enforcement. By the time I jog back there, deputies are already rounding up 2 out of 3. Fireworks on private property after written warnings. Now it's criminal trespass and illegal fireworks. Meanwhile, Myra's on a tailgate trying to rally the crowd, but folks are starting to look at each other sideways. Elsie's jotting notes for a letter to the editor. Some neighbor with a battery-powered speaker tries to start a band at my gate. I repeat my private property poem. By sundown, half the crowd is heading home, some demanding refunds for tickets to an event that was supposed to be free. Turns out Myra sold tickets to fund a playground and pocketed the cash. At 9, the fire marshal rolls through code enforcement parks by my driveway. Deputies handle more paperwork. Someone sets off a firework anyway, one big whoosh, then uniforms are on them in 10 seconds flat. The night fizzles out, the party's over, and Myra gone. Elsie has 2 pages of notes and the smile of a teacher who just decided which kid needs summer school. But the real fun hadn't even started. Over the next weeks, Myra files complaints, claims my barn violates setbacks, that I have unregistered livestock, even writes to my egg buyer to hint I'm under investigation. That one stings. I call Travis, and together we draw up a plan, cease and desist for harassment and tortious interference, demand a retraction and a public apology report, unlicensed activity to the state, and if it keeps up, go to court for a declaratory judgment. I deliver the letters myself, one to the HOA's agent, one to Myra's own real estate office. Turns out she's licensed, and the board isn't going to love that. What I don't know is my letter tips over a bucket that had been full a while. Soon I get emails from subdivision folks apologizing for their leadership, sending screenshots of group chats where Myra badmouthed me and invented aesthetic perimeter rules. They even ID the fence climbers and start a reimbursement fund for the ticket mess. County investigates the event charges. 3 trespassers fines the firework lighter. Myra gets a 60-day license suspension, forced ethics courses, civil penalties. Board votes her out. Vice President and Treasurer resign, audit ordered, new boundary policy adopted. Turns out consequences don't travel in a parade, but they do show up eventually. In the end, I win a declaratory judgment. My land isn't and never will be part of their HOA. I hang the order by my keys alongside the original eviction notice, a trophy of sorts. Some folks apologize. The association finally puts up its own signs, respect boundaries. Private properties are not amenities. Boring, but perfect. And here's the kicker. Justice wasn't about fireworks or shouting. It was paperwork patience, a lot of camera footage, and people finally respecting the lines that matter. That's real community, knowing where your rights end and your neighbors begin. Sometimes you have to stand your ground with nothing but a camera and a binder full of receipts. So if you ever wake up to a bright yellow eviction for being off-brand, breathe. Call the folks who keep lines straight, save everything, and invite the consequences to do their job. Then build your own little yes, a boundary walk, a handshake, maybe even a tour on your terms, not theirs. Here's my question for you. When is drawing a line protecting what's yours? And when does it become just another kind of wall? Ever had to fight to keep what's yours? Drop your story below, because honestly, community only works if everyone gets a say. And if you made it this far, share your thoughts, your stories, or just say where you're watching from. I'd love to hear it.